I can't stress enough how much I love this gun. This is insane. This thing came out years ago, and the first iteration, the production company who built these things, who manufactured these things, they made them one use. And so once it was like done, batteries are toasted, gas chambers done, they're gone. You got to buy a new one. So now you get 10 plus years later, and a new company starts manufacturing them and has all the bells and whistles locked in. It is a plasma discharge weapon. This is the PDU MK2. It is made by VL Plasmatech. I can't say enough about this thing. It's insane. It's gas-fed lithium-ion supercore battery that they patent, and they say it's anywhere. I mean, when you're talking about plasma discharge weapons, it's one of those things that you aren't guaranteed a certain amount of shots, but you have a basis. They say it's roughly 100 shots per gas tube, and then your lithium-ion supercore is supposed to last you, they say, like 2+ years. It's after that 2-year mark that starts to kind of taper off. There's ways to replace those things, though, that make it to where it's not a single-use weapon anymore. The supercores going out, you do have to start looking at getting a new model, not just replacing them, but it can be done. The main thing is the gas tube ejection and being able to actually replace the gas tube and actually continue to use the gun. This is insane. The PDU standing for Personal Defense Unit. I can't say enough about this thing. It's so freaking cool. This is actually a brand new one. My personal unit is Cerakoted to look like it's used and abused. This one is fresh off the assembly line, white with the black grips. It's, let alone the fact that it's just so clean and it's such a pristine shot. It's also like, this thing is, I don't know what to say about it. It shoots too well. It's a total length of 13.5 inches. So the recoil's next to nothing. On top of that being a plasma discharge weapon, it just shoots straight. There's no guesswork. With the way the technology works with these, you have your guide laser, your infrared guide laser. The plasma discharge just goes. There's minimal sights going on here. You have your front sight to really lock in, and that's it. This thing shoots beautifully. So some of the features I didn't mention about this thing is when it starts to overheat, there's a bunch of features inside that keep it from overheating and actually like melting down. When you're talking about plasma discharge weapons, you have all the heating components, you have all of the electromagnetic components to keep the heat inside, but there's only so much that can actually be kept out of the gun. So it does have vents in here to discharge some of that heat, to dissipate some of that heat. The polymer shell over top of the metal casing actually helps dissipate a lot of the heat as well. There is a haptic motor in the grip that starts to vibrate if you do start firing too much, because you don't want this thing to melt down. It will blow up in your hands, and that's the last thing you want. No safety whatsoever, which means no kids around these things. So this needs to go up on a shelf, in a safe, whatever it may be, which is not unlike a lot of old conventional casing bullet firearms. They don't have a safety, or they have guns that have the safety built into the trigger. So no external safety on this thing. The fun part with these, and I'm not going to do it because it's actually really bad for these firearms, is when the gun is not being fired for a long period of time, it goes into like a sleep mode, like any other electronic. It's insane. And depressing the slide activates a button here that kind of wakes the system back up and tells it, okay, we're working again. So if you go to pick this up and fire it, and you haven't, and it's been like, let's say months at a time, even a couple of days, it's not going to want to fire. You're going to be depressing gas, and you're going to be just blowing through argon gas. This thing is insane. I can't say enough about this thing. It's just, it shoots too fucking smooth. It shoots too smooth. It has next to no recoil. It's one-handed. You can see the recoil, you can feel the recoil, but it's not so much that you can't use it. And then two-handed, this thing just doesn't want to move. It's... When VL Plasmatech talks about these things, and they talk about how, like, it's just cutting edge, the leader in plasma discharge weapons, they mean it. They absolutely mean every word of it. It just goes. It just does the job. Not being single use, it changes everything when it comes to weapons now. And the minimalist sighting, it's... I can't say anything more about this thing. It's absolutely fantastic. The only part that gets really costly when it comes to these is the price tag. Obviously, you're talking about a leader in plasma weapons. You're talking about $1,000 price tag. That's a lot for a handgun, but when it comes to the accuracy, it comes to the stopping power, it's one of those things that how much do you value your life? How much do you value your self-defense firearm? You want something that does the job, and you want something that does the job well. And if you're going to spend the money on something that does the job well, this is kind of the golden standard at this point. They don't come in custom colors. There's a lot of talk about doing custom colors. Mine is, like I said, Cerakoted to look like it's battle worn, and that was done by another private company. But so far, they don't offer custom colors yet. It is one size fits all, white polymer with the black grips. The black grips are actually bolted on, and they're actually 3D printed. They're not finished 3D print. They are just bolt on, 4 bolts in total. When you get your PDU, you get everything involved. You get the gun, you get the grip panels. The grip panels are just optional for you because some people have smaller hands, some people have larger hands, and it fills out, having those grip panels really kind of feels like it fills out your hand a little bit more for being as narrow of a weapon as it is.